your socials. My book, Amazon, electronic version. Because we gotta keep the ball moving. Pause. Kayode! He is messing up. He's missing out. Let's do this. Pause. I love this song, man. Yeah. Ooh, woo, woo. Pause. Oh man, music, artistry. It's a beautiful gift that God has given us. Kayode! Who's? I think we're gonna have to check up on him because we don't see him live. Let's see if we can get him up. We can get him up. You make me believe in my dream. Aha. All right, guys, you know what I say. While we wait, but let us, in this show, it's called HE.ARTS. Somlinda ngezindaba. Hailing all the way from Atembisa 1632. Nameranza Nkwenu, and thank you for pulling through. You know how we do it. I'm that Tsonga Zulu guy that comes in and does what he does from the space of love, from the space of the heart. I started this channel and this space to speak all things art, all things passion, all things human stories, you know, because often we miss out on getting the human story of people, especially who are in the spotlight. I don't care where the spotlight is. Maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're an academic, wherever you are, wherever that spotlight is shining. I want to know the man before the spotlight. I want to know the man on the other side of the spotlight, the person that nobody speaks about, the person that the world doesn't necessarily want to know about. I want to know your journey. I want to know your lessons that you learned from it. And tonight is no different. I met Kayode whilst I was living in Germany. When I think he came a month or two before I moved back to South Africa. And he had lived around the world, I think. So by the time he came, we met, we had mutual friends, and we just enjoyed each other's conversations. And he's an amazing singer. He's got a project called Revision. It's available on Amazon, on Spotify, and all the other stores. It's a EP, and it's a very beautiful project. I don't know why he's not pulling through yet, so let's try and call him whilst we're live, because, hey, when folks don't answer, you gotta do what you do. The best way you know how, when you do what I do, you gotta do what you do. The best way how, you gotta do what you do. In London, they are having a different time zone than us in South Africa, of course, but they're an hour behind us. So, yeah. I'm going to wait for him to answer and know why he's not on air. Kayode! How are you? We are live and we are waiting on you.
I am here. Hold on.
I don't see you. Do you see me?
I'm here now.
Let's get you on, brother. There we go. Now I see you. Let's welcome him the way we normally do. You know how we do this. Kayode!
Yes, sir. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good, my brother. Not too bad.
You look like that. I don't know.
Hang on one second.
We have to do this to see you?
No.
Can you turn your camera?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do that. Hold on one second. I got it.
All right, you do that. Driver, folks. Driver. Hey.
There we go.
We're going to give you a time to settle down. You got it?
Almost.
Whoa,
Does that work properly? Hopefully it doesn't mess with more.
Buddy, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Great. I haven't seen you in years.
It's been a minute, man.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
I see you doing your thing.
I'm doing my thing here. Thank you for agreeing to be a guest in the show. Sorry about what's happening, the technicalities.
Yeah, we
see you.
It's a bit dark, so I'm just trying to get a little bit of
some light. Yeah. All right. Okay, no, I just invited you here to celebrate people who I believe are living out their light beyond the spotlight. Because a lot of times as artists and as people, we hide behind the spotlight where we think the greatest moment is when we are showing the people what we do. But I want to know the meaning behind the spotlight before you do what you do, how you get to do what you do, why you do what you do. So I thank you for joining me all the way in London, right?
Yes, man. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So for people that don't know who you are, how would you introduce yourself to them?
I would say, hi, my name is Kayode. Full name Kayode Selena, but I go by the name Kyohh. That's my stage name now, Kyohh. I am born and raised in the tropical island of Trinidad and Tobago from the Caribbean.
Yay!
I'm currently plying my trade as an artist, as a singer, a voiceover artist, musical theater actor, and performer. Pretty much wherever I can work, but really and truly right now based out of London and also Port of Spain, Trinidad, where I go back and forth now. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Other than that, I am pretty easygoing. I love my art form. I love music. I'm really into the creative side of things, and yeah.
Nice, man. So I normally, in fact, it's tradition here. I ask my guests this question every week, and I'm fascinated by their answers. So if you were a fruit at this very moment, what fruit would you be and why? What fruit would describe you, would tell us about you, and why?
I would say probably a mango, probably. One, because it's my favorite fruit. And it's just very, very sweet. I think.
Yeah.
But it can also be very bitter if you try.
Yeah.
I think that's the best.
And I think a mango is a massive fruit. You have to eat it in a confined space. You know, like you can't just eat it while dressed up in all white and traveling. You know, it's messy.
That's even better because it requires you to kind of like drop all pretenses of sophistication and whatnot. You gotta get in there. You gotta get down and dirty.
I love that.
Be real.
How do you think that fits into your artistry or your journey as an artist?
Good question. I think I spent a lot of before I spent time touring with a touring company, which we'll probably talk about in a bit. I started to write music from a very honest place, and sometimes when you're much younger, people say you're young and you're dumb, but in actuality, yes, you are a bit dumb, but that there's something powerful about that openness that you have, and I think that just like with the fruit that I just called, where I say you have to be down and dirty and honest, and you have to drop all pretenses when you eat it, especially when it's that good and it makes a mess. Same thing with the writing. So originally it was just like that. It was very open. It was very honest. And then when I went off into other ventures, I focused more on that, on what they wanted me to be, and the mold that I was trying to fit, and to fit a role, and all these sort of things. And you can. It's great to be able to assimilate and conform and adapt to various situations. It's what you are a well-rounded individual, and actor, and performer, and an artist on the whole. But now I'm trying to get back to that almost naive point of writing, because when it comes to music and artistry on the whole, when you're working basically for yourself and you're creating for yourself, you got to be honest with yourself. You know?
Exactly. We'll come back to this because I want to speak about the importance of vulnerability and being vulnerable and allowing yourself to be vulnerable when you are touching on your artistry. But before we go there, I want you to take us back to growing up in Trinidad. How, first of all, when you think of Trini, what reminds you of Trini? What smells remind you of Trini? And what was your childhood like growing up there? What games did you play? What kind of a kid were you?
I'd say I was mischievous. I was very mischievous. Where I grew up, we had small animals and livestock and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time helping my parents out with that. As a toddler, I literally used to run out with some of the animals into the middle of the road. Obviously, it's back I was born in 87, so somewhere between 89 and 93 when I was a toddler. Those places where we were was rural parts of Trinidad, and most of the roads weren't paved yet, so there was a lot of potholes and stuff. So I would go and play with the animals in those potholes. Like I was just out there. My mother couldn't tell me anything. I was out there. And but I think as smells in terms of that, like traditional foods that we have back home, which are influenced by African culture and some by culture as well, which are the two main diasporas in our country. Those smells, those things that really, and oddly enough, fresh rain when it hits soil, that reminds me of home as well.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So yeah, but as a kid, I was very, very rambunctious as a toddler. Growing up, I was a bit too smart for my own mouth. Sometimes I used to just say things off the bat without any filters. And I think teenager, I did what teenagers do. I tried to blend in, and then right out of teenagehood, I was like, I need to be an individual. I need to be myself. So but as a kid, it was fun. Growing up rural Trinidad and Tobago, we used to play games, swung on vines, played in dusty streets, things like that.
And when does music feature in your life? And when do you first notice that you have got an artistic drive or gift, or do you first see yourself as a singer, which then opens you up to the rest of the world of the arts?
I think the latter, because I don't come from a musical background at all. None of my members of my family or anyone that I know close to me in my musical. So it was just a matter of chance. I think first time around I was like maybe 7 or 8, and my mom will probably be able to tell further behind that because I don't remember me walking around the house or whatever. But I remember I had there was a youth group that was being formulated in my town, and we went to it. It was just it was community policing, and they were taking the youth underneath their wing to keep them out of trouble and teach them basic skills, and they were trying to find out people's talents or whatnot. And I just remember my mother telling me, go up and, if you can sing, go up and do this. I know you could sing. I was like, yeah, I could kind of, but I don't really want to. And she was like, no, go ahead. And I went. And that was it really. From then on, that same youth group, they had various youth groups around the country. And we would go to one another's areas and perform and various concerts and whatnot. And I was always there at single thing. So they would just take me my mother would literally put me in the hands of the leaders and say, go on. And they would take me to these various places and I would start to perform. So singing first was my first introduction into the art. And I think into that opened me up to more of the arts in my primary school days, in my elementary days, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing from there.
So I want us to talk about Lion King, because the first time you and I met, we were in Germany. It was a few months before I left the country, so we had a brief time together, but we bonded because you were friends, Jermaine, and you were from the same place, so we tried to make you feel as much home as possible. But this was not your first company.
No.
So how do you then come into even know about Lion King? When was your first interaction with Lion King?
Almost everything with my musical journey so far. I was gone for a second. with the exception of I'd say the last 6 to 8 years, everything prior to that has been purely, I'd say, by fate, by chance, by the grace of God. However you I think it's that I literally I wasn't so what had happened was I had I was just working. This is actually a hell of a story when I think about it. I was just finished with a job, and I was finishing up. I was my last couple of months on a job, and I was looking at what my next move was going to be, and I wasn't too sure, and I was being very skeptical about what was going to happen. And my girlfriend at the time was like, why don't you try this? And I'm like, because there were auditions happening. Yeah. And I was like, no, that's not for me. I sing mainly R&B. That's not going to do anything for me. Stuff like that. Like, I'm like, that's not going to work. What are you talking about? So I'm just...
It's all good.
What on earth is going on? Sorry, my phone is just being like, nope, I don't want to cooperate. Right, so I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. I'm going to have to hold it. Right, so I didn't know exactly what was going to happen with my next job opportunity or whatever. And I was just working in retails and stuff like that. So it wasn't very promising.
Arty.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. And she was like, well, why don't you go to this audition? And I'm like, nah, that's not for me. And it's whatchamacallit, it's musicals and whatnot. That's not looked upon as, there's that stigma. It's very effeminate. It's very this, is very that. And I honestly was indoctrinated into that. And I was like, nah, what I was doing was already pushing the boundaries anyway. And the main thing, any guy that sings in our country at the time would get involved in our local music, which is soca. And because of that, that would mean that you would be performing for predominantly party atmospheres. You're looking females and and anything musicals or acting or whatnot was considered a bit effeminate. So I was indoctrinated to that, and I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then she's like, no, you're gonna go because I think you're very talented, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. What matters is what you think about it and what you want to do with for your life. Beautiful. So I took that information on board. I took that push, and I went. We both auditioned, and right after, like 2-3 months later, right after I finished the contract, I'm like, you know what? I was like 22, and I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest. I think music is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And just when I made that decision, and I was like, I don't care where the next paycheck is coming from. I'm going to do my music full time. I got the call. And wow. And they're like, well, we need you in Singapore at this time. Nice. And within 2 weeks, I was out of there.
Where were you when you got your call?
Where was I? I think 2 weeks after I had finished that job, I was at home, I believe. I didn't get a call. I got an email. Because what had happened was, I think I wasn't even at home. I was out. And I got a call from my family members saying that I just got this call from someone abroad. They're not sure where, England or somewhere there. And they were like, they want you to check your email and give them a call back. And I believe I was probably in my town, and I went into Mario's, which is like a Pizza Hut branch, type of store, pizza place, and used their Wi-Fi, and found out, and then sent them an email afterwards, and then we started to communicate from there.
I mean, I remember when I got my call, I was working at the Civic Theatre, and I had a Sunday off because we were going to open on the Monday. And I was sleeping. I was tired. They gave us a Sunday off, and I slept through. And then when I woke up, I found this missed call with this long number. But I was like, I don't know where this number is from. I didn't have airtime. I tried to send them a call back, but it did not go, obviously. Then my mom and sisters are calling me, and they're screaming. And I'm like, what happened? Did I win a TV or something? I did not understand. And I'm not a person who enters many competitions. Mm-hmm. And then they say, there's a lady that called. You better call her back. You got it. You did it. You did it. And cutting a long story short, it was a changing moment. My life changed. How did that opportunity change your life? How did it open? I mean, I believe that especially for people who are coming from a space where they've not interacted with African music per se, in like South African music even, what was that experience for you? Coming in and having people from around the world all in one building, different stories, and all are there for one common purpose, to tell the story. What did that do for you?
It was a culture shock, and it was an eye-opener. I mean, to be fair, the Trinidad and most of the Caribbean, we've been, how to put it, we have influences from Africa because of, transatlantic.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
There's a lot of the culture that translate from up to us, and there's a lot of similarities I found, and I think that was also part of the culture shock, but not in a way that it was so different, but things were so similar.
Beautiful.
The way we communicate, the way we are so expressive, and we're very exuberant, and no matter what we do, that sort of thing, like really, really sort of made me helped me settle in a lot quicker, I think, because like of yours. But and if you were not like I did not have a lot of, how to put it, no, I'm not even say that, because I've participated in Emancipation Day celebrations back home in Trinidad, and they would use what we would our best to try and be like African phrases and songs. So there was a tiny bit of being accustomed to that, but it was obviously totally different when you hear the real deal. So
exactly.
And then when I got to that, I think it was just so much. My approach to the whole thing was, I do not know anything about this really. Even no matter what line I walked in as if I did not know anything. And I definitely have a lot of experience with that big of a production. I've done smaller productions before, but nothing of this scale. So I just walked in like a blank canvas. I'm like, I don't know anything. This is new to me. Teach me. And when it came to respecting the craft, respecting the art, respecting the African art form, the music, the languages that we were speaking, I'm just like, I just tried to pick everyone's brain and help and learn, have them help me and learn. So I think the culture shock was there. Didn't last too long because I sort of like endeared myself to the group, to the team. My willingness to learn and to be fair, to get in touch with my own roots was something they recognized and they respected, and I was sort of like welcomed into the fold. I think I still have genuine connections and friendships from
exactly,
and that was 2011. I still have since then. Wow.
And looking at what was different, I mean, moving from Singapore coming to Germany, besides the fact that in Singapore you guys did it in English, right?
Yes.
So coming from Singapore, having done the show in English, obviously it's a lot similar in German, but there were also certain translations that they make for just the people, the audience of the space. So what was your greatest, how did you feel? Were you nervous about joining the German company? How was your reception there? And what did you learn about yourself entering that room?
Well, where Hamburg was concerned, to be fair, after I finished with Singapore, I moved on and I did the UK tour afterwards. And in the UK, I was a swing. And I think for almost 2 years. And then when that tour was over and I was about to go home, I got a call saying, "Oh, we heard that you're on break now. Do you want to come work for us?" I was like, "Okay, where's it at?" Hamburg. I was like, "Oh, okay. Is this show in German?" "Yeah." Oy. I was like, "Oh, this is the closest thing to another language I've ever spoken was Spanish."
Yeah.
Maybe, whenever we were traveling, I learned a little bit of Singaporean dialect. But this was going to be a whole new challenge for me. But I'm like, you know what? You take these opportunities when they present themselves. You have to yourself, otherwise you will never know. So I said yes. And when I arrived there, I will say that Hamburg, apart from Singapore, Hamburg was the only cast and experience where I truly felt like, where it felt like a family, where it truly felt like everyone was united in a singular purpose, and everyone was just batting for everyone. It was so nice to see, and just the ease and the comfort with which everyone welcomed me, and even more so the almost, I wouldn't want to say heartbreak, but the almost sadness when it was my time to go as well. What happened and what they did for me when it was my final show before I left to go to the UK for the UK show. Made me feel like I was genuinely there and they wanted me to be there. I almost stayed, actually.
Wow.
UK, people drank and I had to. Otherwise, I probably would have stayed.
That's beautiful. Just as we wrap up the chapter on The Lion King, what is that one moment and that one thing that you take from the show? Maybe from the whole show, maybe a line, a moment. I remember there was one night that we were doing a show, and I was playing Mufasa that night. And when you do the show all the time, that sometimes you are there, but you're not really there. And I remember I had a scene with young Simba, and after the hyena scene, and I had to speak to him and say, "Simba, you deliberately disobeyed me. What's worse, you put Nala's life in danger." So there was that, where you are in rhythm and in pattern, where you just know things happen like this. He's going to say this, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to react like this. And I turned around ready to react the same way that I normally do, which was shout at young Simba.
Right.
And I looked in his eyes, and the boy was crying, and the way he spoke his line was softer than normally. He just like, "But I didn't want to disappoint you." Woo! That moment immediately snapped me back into the show, and I went on my knees. And from that day, how I live my life till today is to always be present for every moment, because I almost missed a beautiful experience because I allowed myself to be there physically, but be somewhere mentally. So that's the gift that I took from that show that I've carried through to my life. What gift have you taken or a word or a sentence or a moment or even a song that you have taken that has made you who you take along with you wherever you go?
Well, I can say two things if I can touch on them quickly. One, general, was a lot of the preconception and notions and stereotypes and all these things I had in my head when I left my home country, when I left my upbringing and all the my nurturing, all that had. When I started to meet different people with different stories and backgrounds, as you said, and from different walks of life, that really taught me not to judge people. So I, just based on how they look or how they speak or impressions, and I live now a bit more openly like that, where I'm constantly working on teaching myself to look at people and looking at people like literally and figuratively looking at them and not just what you think they represent or who you
exactly
think they will in time. Exactly. And I think that is one of the major overall lessons that I've learned.
Beautiful.
One thing in particular of the show that that really touched me was, for me, was a bit of a journey that I had. Was my first night on as cover Simba. When that happened for me, that was a real moment for me, and it was very, very bittersweet. Because for various reasons, whether it was family couldn't be there because I was loved ones, other loved ones couldn't be there because because those relationships were no longer existing because of the sacrifices you had to make for your job
along the way.
Before I went on for that show, it was so bittersweet because finally I'd gotten to a point where I had a goal that I had set, and there were some people and things that I had to give up along the way, and that really sat with me. But in the end, right before I went on stage, I found a piece where it was like I gave thanks for it all, because it all had to be in order for me to get to that point. And in the end, it was just, it had to be all worth it. It had to, and found the worth in it. And it was
beautiful, man.
One of the most free performances I've ever had.
I remember when I saw your pictures after the show, because the first time I met you, I told you that I think you should go for Simba because I heard you sing, and I was like, dude, the brother can sing. So I was so happy to see you. I was so happy to see Tenepri achieve the role of playing Mufasa, Tabani getting his cover to play Simba, you getting your cover. It's almost as though everyone that I had met and become friends with were getting their moment in the spotlight. And that was a beautiful, beautiful experience. Now we're going to cross over to your own journey, because the things about being in shows is that we sing the song that is prescribed for us. Yes. We do it the way they want it done, the way it's always been done. You can put very little of yourself in that world. But when you decide that I'm going to go on stage as me, there's a lot of challenges there, because all of a sudden there's no costume of Simba that people adore. There's no all these things that we put out there, you know. It's just you. It's your vulnerability. It's your pain. It's your fears. It's your insecurities. It's all of you. How are you dealing with being on stage as you, and what is your journey or your relationship with your vulnerability, your scars? What's your relationship with that?
I'd say it was honestly a bit easier when I was younger, in terms of being that able to be that vulnerable, because you did not know, you didn't know how else to be. There was no other way to be.
Exactly. I love that.
And then over the years, when you've been let down or disappointed, you build those calluses from those scars. They build up and they form a protection. One of the most difficult parts of this journey is learning to peel those scars away, and it's almost like reopening those wounds and allowing them to heal the right way, you know. And allowing your journey and allowing your expression of your music and your art form to be that healing.
Exactly.
So for me, it's like that is one of the major focal points for me, to try and be as open and as honest about what I write, about what I sing, to ensure that there is some form of a message of what I write. And it doesn't have to be something philosophical. It doesn't have to be a preachy sort of thing, but whether it's love, whether it's love making, whether it's political, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing, it has to pull something at you or out of you to make you think, to feel. So this part of the journey is me now sort of reintroducing, for those who knew me from before when I was doing my thing, and then after last nearly a decade, all anyone would have known me, or they've known me to be, is someone who works for Disney, for example. Now it's separating myself from that entity.
Exactly.
Used to me, but not the me that joined Disney.
Yeah.
I think that being very honest and very open, humble, but also still very honest about where I've been, what I've been through, what I've experienced, and not making any apologies for that is also what I'm. Because I think when you can show people what you can bring to the table, they take your art form a lot more seriously. This is not just for fun. I've spent years doing this.
Exactly. No, that's beautiful. I like what you say about the younger version, because when we're young, we're not afraid to take risks. We're not afraid to get burnt. But I think over the years, because we get burnt, because we are laughed at when we take risks, because then we develop this wall. And this peeling off journey is hard because we are scared of, are we going to be received?
Yep.
So many die in this form that they've built over the years that is not even them, because they're too scared that if I show my real face, people might say, oh my goodness, we don't want to see you. We want to see the character you. So I would allow you to share, because I promised the people that you'll sing for us. I will allow you to share your song with us, your first song. Yeah.
So I will also want to say that, add to that what you just said, is as men as well.
Yeah.
It is considered weakness. For that kind of emotion, to be able to put you in that kind of a vulnerable position. That to me nowadays, we realize more and more and more how much all right, here we go. Right. So how much strength that actually takes.
Exactly. It takes a lot more strength to be vulnerable than to just be macho.
Yes. All right, so the song I'm going to perform is called Over It. It's basically it's from the EP. It's from my EP called Revision. The song basically, these are a collection of songs that I wrote before and a little bit in my early career with the Lion King, and finally, and some of them were mastered. At least there are a collection of 5 or 6 songs, and you can obviously find them everywhere. They're on Spotify, TikTok, whatever. And they were a collection that I put together, remixed, remastered, and updated as well. And so this song is called Over It. It basically has to do with a breakup, but basically reflecting off of that breakup. And
that's one of my favorites. I've got 2 favorites in that project, and this is one of them. Okay. So go ahead.
All right, I got you. Oh, no. Said I'm leaning out the window, trying to call you back. Thought I was losing myself, but now I'm back on track. You ain't in my life, but you know what they say. For every funeral, there's a new birthday. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, baby. The best day of my life was when you left me. A blessing in disguise was what you left with me. No need to apologize for the way you hurt me. I'm over it now. Hey. The best gift you ever gave to me was the day when you said goodbye, baby. You deserve me. I should have left when this words hit. 'Cause you know that I've been put through the ringer and I took all your bull. You made me wiser, made me stronger. I had to learn your love the hard way. Thought my heart was breaking, but I was just preparing for a better day. What you left for me, I'm now. Hey, I'm so straight now. The best gift you ever gave to me was the day when you said goodbye, baby. And now I can safely say you're out of the way of my heart forever. No, no, no longer will you lay me down or push me into the ground with your games. Your games. Never get it back. No, 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 no. Never will I say you're sorry. Words so sad. I'm done keeping score, girl. No, no, no. It's
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and we're out. I'm over it now. I'm over it.
Yeah. All right. Let's hold it there. Wow. I really love this song. This song and Promises. I think Promises is my favorite song of all time there in that project. Yeah. I've listened to it a couple of times, and this one today was this one. I was jamming this one because somehow it just resonated a lot with a lot of things. And I want to speak quickly about, because you say that the best gift is when you left me. And sometimes we are too afraid to let people go. We think that everyone we meet is meant to be there forever. Exactly. But it's not the case. So what has life taught you about the people that leave or that have left you and those that you have left? What has life taught you about leaving?
It's taught me, and especially these songs will reflect that, it's taught me that that's that old saying that some people, if life represents a tree, some people are the leaves, some people are the branches, some people are the roots.
Yeah.
You have to accept when someone is showing you exactly what part of that tree they are, and give thanks for their presence. And,
exactly.
And also give thanks for when their time for being there is through. And
yeah,
a mistake we make, we try to hold on to some of those temporary relationships and stuff that are too long, and we end up hurting our tree, so to speak. So I think that's what I really learned from that. And yeah, the pain happens. It's there, but
exactly,
you're alive. Pain is part of it.
I think there's nothing as painful as a goodbye, whatever form or shape it comes in. But one of the things that I learned, especially when I left Hamburg, because I remember my last show, I didn't want to speak because I didn't want to cry. The emotions were so heavy. But I knew that from that goodbye and the pain of that goodbye was on the other side was a hello. And many people never get to see the beauty of the hello because they get stuck at goodbye. They get stuck at holding on because they're too afraid of the goodbye. And so what hellos has life? We lost each other for a second.
Yeah.
Are you back?
I'm back.
Did you get the question?
What type of hellos have I experienced so far? Is that
yeah. What hellos that life presented you with that you are grateful for?
For me, the most major hello is a reintroduction to myself. For the period of time that I spent working and touring as a musical performing artist, there were a lot of things that I was doing that were compromising my artistry and my journey, and there was a lot of things that I was trying to do for the sake of others. And when I said goodbye to LK at that time, and the way that I did, the way that it happened, it showed me that I needed to get back in touch with self. I was now someone that was defined by my job, and I was defined by my and stuff like that. And almost forcefully, I had to shed those links. And in the end, I'm actually much more grateful for it, because that now it's allowed me to see a bunch of new hellos in terms of myself, to say hello to a bunch of new people who have brought themselves into my life, who have shown themselves to be so, like, I would have never believed that people could be so genuine and be so straightforward and be so loyal. When you've literally almost let go of the golden egg in pursuit of something more valuable, and they stick with you. You know, I think that for me has allowed me to be a better person. And I think what also, based on what I was doing when I was working with them, there's a great amount of positive things that I've taken away from that, and that itself as well, like discipline, hard work, work ethic, all these things, they have now been added to my arsenal as a professional. And also at the same time, some of the mistakes that I made there have also taught me to be a better performer, a better human being as well. So yeah, quite a bit. I
think one of the greatest gifts that I took from that space is existing as me in a room full of amazing and phenomenal artists. You know, understanding that I'm not in any competition, that I add to the circle of life. I add. My presence means something, and I should find the next person's gift and them to celebrate them. You know, I found beauty in celebrating other people around me, their talent, to a point where even now, when I'm at a festival or something's happening, I don't care who sings for me or who sings after me, because I know that I've been in a room where there were 6 talented people, and you had to hold your own, you had to show up, and you had to do your thing. So I'm like, let the person who goes before you do their thing, applaud them, celebrate them. The person after you, applaud them, celebrate them, but know that when your moment comes, only you can do you the best way you know how.
That's actually something I learned as well, because I looked at my career and what I was doing and what I was doing with it. And then I looked at, because our circle in Trinidad is so small, I looked at what a lot of the younger ones were doing coming up. Network.
All right, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
So, yeah, the network is trying to get rid of us, but we still got a good 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
There were just a bunch of the young up-and-comers back home in Trinidad. They were doing their things. They were bubbling on the surface. And now some of them, in my opinion, are so good, and they deserve opportunity. And I found myself trying to compare myself to them or what they were doing. And then I had to, and what other people were doing outside, just all the people that you see online who are riffing the hell out of things and doing a bunch of amazing things, and they are talented. They're up to their neck in talent. And I realized, and I had to go back to one thing. I remember when I asked someone back in the day, how do I sound? Do I sound like this person? Do I sound like that person? Because I wanted to sound, they're like, you sound like you.
Yeah.
I can voice, if you choose to sing a certain way, I can pick out your voice out of a lot of different things. And now that I'm older and I understand more, I now realize how priceless that is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
When how to do you, that is what sets you apart from people who might arguably be way more talented than you. Once you work, you're a good person deep down inside, and you work well with others, and you help projects, and it's not about you all the time. But when it's time to do you do you to the best of your ability, and people appreciate that. That is what sets you apart from other people. That's what gives you a long and lasting career. That's what helps you build priceless relationships and partnerships with people, that gets you further than, say, someone who thinks that they can sing rings around you, but wonder why you get to this point and I didn't. It's because of those things.
Exactly. And so after having lived in Singapore, lived in the UK, then went to Hamburg and grew up in Trinidad, what made London the place that you think will be best for you to express your artistry?
There's some convenience for it. It's a almost direct pipeline back home. There's a Caribbean diaspora here that I can tap. And also my African brothers and sisters are here as well. So for me, it's like I have my people here, home away from home, so to speak.
Yeah.
I view it as a very open space for creators. It is basically like the New York of Europe. One may argue like Berlin or whatnot, but then you have a language barrier as well.
Exactly.
It transcends all language barriers, but still, what matters the most is where it logistically makes sense for me to do it. It's one thing, but it's you know how that is right now. But I felt way more at ease. I felt that I could live and enjoy my journey, my life, and whatnot here, and of course, some of my loved ones are here. So I also get to work on some relationships that really need working on. That I get to spend time with my loved ones, and that's what also matters the most. So it makes a lot of sense logistically, but also holistically, because I feel away from home, this felt the most at home. I'll be honest with you, Hamburg felt the most like home, but that was really and truly within the walls of the
exactly tent. Of the tent, yeah. And outside that, it was like a foreign space all once again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes feels that way, but it's a little bit better to navigate. It's better to work with people and build relationships and stuff like that. And then it can branch out. I want to be able to go elsewhere in Europe, of course.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
This is my base of operations for now.
I'm glad that you're there. I think that's a beautiful space to be. I want to play a quick game with you, very fast. It's called Fill in the Blank, okay? So, never have I blank.
Never have I done drugs. I don't know why that has that.
If I woke up and blank was not around, life for me would have no meaning.
Music.
My favorite place in the world to blank is blank.
My favorite place in the world to live, I'd say London. Yeah.
All right. And before I take my last breath, I have to blank.
Achieve, but that word is a loaded one. Achieve my accolades, achieve all my plans. Not all, but the main ones that I want. So I'd say achieve.
Oh, beautiful. And love to me is blank.
Love to me is unconditional. That's what it should be.
Love to you is what?
Unconditional.
Unconditional. Definitely that's what it should be, but it's not always the case, right? So, what does being the light beyond the spotlight means to you?
The first thing I think of is when being the light beyond the spotlight, being spotlight meaning whenever there is a focus on you or what you do. Being the light beyond that is basically light meaning who you are, your aura, what it is you represent. It's taking that beyond when people have their eyes on you. Taking places where some people may not know who you are, what you're about, but keeping that same light, that same energy where you go.
And I like that when you're speaking about the spotlight being a focus point to you. And I want to thank you for seeing me, because I think part of being in the outside the spotlight is the ability to see people that you could not see on stage. On stage, sometimes you see many heads, but you don't really see the faces, the eyes, and the story that it tells. And outside the stage, you're able to really meet and connect with people. So I appreciate you. So I appreciate that you agreed to join me on this conversation. I thank you for coming through. I would like you to do just a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes of the next song, and then we close up the show. Right.
Next one that I'm going to do is it's going to be a cover. Some of my other things got corrupted.
Definitely do a cover. Whilst he does that, his music is available on Spotify, on iTunes, on all the digital platforms. Do support him. He goes by Kayode, but in his music name is Kyohh, right?
Yes,
And it's Kyohh, Kyohh. That's where you're gonna find him. Follow him. He's also on YouTube. You can get to enjoy most of his music there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so I'll just do someone that Brian McKnight. Just something.
Okay. Alrighty.
This was somebody I listened to since I was a kid, so
Beautiful.
and just kind of skip it. So. Yeah. Alright. Yeah. Baby, can you put them bags down? Just wait, hold on for a minute. I gotta say a couple things before you go. Even though I know that we're finished, I don't want you to leave without knowing just where I'm coming from, babe. I just wanna say I made a big mistake, and now I gotta face the fact that I should have been a better man, the kind of man that you needed. Would have been better off if I'd done right by you. I should have done this, should have done that, but no, I can't go back. But now it's just too late. I'm saying shoulda, woulda, coulda, yeah.
All right. Beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. As you close, what is the one thing you want people to take home from this conversation quickly before it cuts us?
I think what you take from this conversation is that artists and whatever we do, we're human too. And I think that it's more about our journeys and what we're doing. If you're signing on to an artist, sign on for what they're doing, where they want to, not just the club bangers, not just the frivolous type of music. The more involved you are with your artist, the more you are willing to, like, you get to know them and you get to hear them and you get to support them. So keep on doing what you're doing, brother. Thank you so much for having me. I think that the people that follow you are genuinely people who want to